Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending where you are watching from. My name is Annie Altamirano. Welcome to my YouTube channel, Empowering Teachers Worldwide. Today, I'd like to briefly talk a little bit about feedback. Feedback. We all know what feedback is, I suppose. It's providing learners with information about their performance. However, too frequently, it has been associated largely with error correction, but that is only one reason for its use. Equally important is the opportunity it gives the teacher to praise learners for effective language use, for task completion, and discuss how well they have achieved their communicative goals and how well they have contributed on a personal level. Although feedback can be given to an individual, a group of students, or to the whole class, it is more efficient if the entire class knows about the monitoring process and the feedback process so that they can learn from one another. So, in order for feedback to be effective, it should be prompt. That is, it should follow the event, the learning event, closely. The longer it takes us to give feedback, the longer the delay between work and feedback, the less effective the feedback becomes. It should also contain encouragement. Positive feedback generally provides more information than negative feedback, and it also strengthens a student's motivation and self-confidence. This is not saying that we are going to tell students that whatever they did was correct. No, but we should always find positive things in our students' work. And feedback should also be specific about why something was good or why it wasn't up to standard and what the student can do about it. So, I'd like to give you some tips for giving feedback. First of all, focus on one or two essential errors depending on the learning goals. That is to say, students tend to shut up if we give them feedback on a lot of things. They are totally overwhelmed and they tend to think that they cannot do anything well. So just focus on one or two essential things. Try to involve the student in self-assessment so that they set up their own goals and they can tell you how well they think they are measuring up. They can then ask for advice and take some responsibility for themselves. Give them time to reflect on their work. Are they pleased with the activity they have just done? Can they improve it? How can they improve it? So give time for reflection. Use the board for the language feedback. Write sentences with the mistakes you want to focus on and encourage the class to spot them and suggest possible ways of correcting and improving them. Afterwards, you can reinforce correct forms with competitions and remedial games. Select samples of correct and incorrect language that students have produced. Write them on cards, for example. Give out the cards and ask the students to do correction individually, in pairs, or in groups. You can also set individual mini meetings with your students. These involve face-to-face conversations with the students, and you can give them some questions to think about beforehand. Use learner diaries. Diary writing is very effective and a natural tool for learners and teachers also, since it enables students to reflect on what they have learned and how they have learned it. What the kind of difficulties they have encountered, the kind of difficulties they have, for example, when they write, what helps them overcome those difficulties in the process of learning English. In addition, we can learn from their diaries about their constraints in different areas, writing, reading, speaking, and help them to remove those constraints. and also make feedback consequential. This means that students will not just read or listen to your feedback, they will have to act upon it and address your comments. When they submit the revised text or the revised task, it might be a good idea to have them explain exactly how the revision addresses the previous feedback that they received. If you are having conversations with them, for example, you can ask questions, very specific questions. You should perhaps keep a note of the questions you would like to ask. Like, for example, what is the main point of your task, your written piece, if they are writing? Who are you writing to? Who's your audience? How have you organized your things? For example, if they are writing, if they are making a presentation, how have you organized the information you are going to present? How have you selected the information? Do you feel that you have achieved the set task? What areas do you want me to look at? Are there any parts of this task that you are unsure of, that you still feel insecure of, you are unhappy about? How do you think I can help you? So after this conversation, the students could revisit their work and then hand in or present again their improved versions. Now, there is another thing that is important. When students are writing, for example, they mostly write with the idea that their audience is you, the teacher. So if we manage to shift this mindset, this will allow them to take on writing with a much larger scope. So they should see their peers as their audience as well. And this applies not just to writing. It can be speaking, as I mentioned before, making a presentation, yes, or summarizing what they have been listening to. Students benefit from peer feedback in that they are able to teach others about the tasks and provide feedback that they would consider relevant. In seeing that their peer feedback is relevant, they will be more engaged in working to complete the task successfully. And peer feedback also gives them the opportunity to have their voices heard and to listen to each other and to learn from the different ways their partners, their peers, do the same task. However, some students may reject the idea of having another student read and judge their work. Therefore, you need to make it clear from the start of the lesson that peer review is not about judging each other's work, but helping each other out. Also, remind them that it is important for the peer feedback space to be safe and judgment-free so that everyone truly benefits from the feedback. Always have students focus on the positive aspects of the work before pointing out areas of improvement. It may be a good idea to brainstorm ways in which positive feedback can be given. Show them how they can phrase things constructively. For example, instead of, I don't understand the point of the introduction in your piece, they can say, your argument could be stronger. Can you give some examples? Good feedback begins before students submit anything. Students need guidelines for assessment criteria in advance. This provides a roadmap to success and helps to clarify the features of good performance. Giving students a set of criteria written in student-friendly language will help them give successful feedback to peers. They can also use this checklist as a checklist against which they can assess their own work. So, this is all for the time being. If you want to learn more about this and other topics, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel and click on the little bell on my profile to be notified when I post. And also, you can visit my website, annie.altamirano.com, to learn about the services I provide and also to read more articles in my blog. Well, I hope you have a good day and see you the next time. Bye-bye.